2011, where we are about to begin another epic ZVP. Oh, it is Stephano versus NaNiwa.
What a clash this is going to be, and I have some really kind of upsetting news.
Yeah.
Both of these guys are 0-1 right now.
That is correct.
That means one of these guys is not going to advance as a result of this game.
That is entirely possible that a player could be eliminated. I mean, there are those crazy corner cases where maybe one of them will go 3-0, and there could be a three-way tiebreaker with a whole bunch of 1-2s. But for the most part, whoever wins this game is guaranteed a shot in top two. Whoever loses is almost certainly out. Weirdly, in Group B, Chef took down Stephano, and Cloud from Italy took down NaNiwa. Very surprising results.
Yeah, really, really interesting stuff. So these guys, two of the best foreigners in the world, so a couple of the best representatives of their respective races are kind of on the chopping block.
Yeah, and it looks like they will be beginning their first match on the enormous map Tall Dream Altar, so no doubt huge macro mode in mind. And you mentioned earlier that Stephano actually straight up said, Zerg is imbalanced, and that's why I win so much.
That's one of the things. I mean, I'm a Zerg player, so I can't just say, hey, I agree with that. But it's hard to argue with Stephano's results.
In the bottom left corner, we have the man who has been winning almost every tournament he enters, whether there are Code S players in his way or not. It is Millennium Stephano.
And his opponent up here in the top right-hand corner of the screen, fresh off second place at MLG Providence, it is NaNiwa.
From Sweden.
Yeah.
Now, you know, one thing that I think is so important to note, I mean, I always love joking about when players use the phrase imbalance. The fact of the matter is the results in terms of win-loss ratios on many maps are very close to 50%.
Yeah.
What is important to me is less whether it is true or not. What is important to me is the mindset of the player.
Yep.
It's so easy to play your own race and think about the weaknesses. What could go wrong? I don't have enough anti-air at this phase in the game. Ooh, I can't macro very well or take extra expansions now. But what Stephano, what he does is instead focus on the strengths of Zerg and just pours all of his gameplay focus into those strengths.
That's right. That's absolutely right. And on that same note, you know, NaNiwa's a guy that's you know, in the past he's been like, oh, I can't win games with this broken race. But I think especially recently, he's been starting to pick it up in a really big way. As Stephano asking for a little bit of a pause there.
Stephano builds his pool. He's just started his pool on 14, and he needed a moment to plan out the rest of his strategy.
Do I want to go 16 hatch or should I get a gas next?
Looks like Stephano went ahead and resumed the game. So, hey, here we are, and goodbye. It was nice seeing you on camera.
He made up his mind.
Yeah, peace. Back in the game, we do see Stephano has continued to build drones, and I always love when a player gets an early pool and then still drones up, only going to save up larva for like a ling or two.
Yep. Now, I want to ask you something, Day9.
I want to answer it.
Stephano is a guy that has kind of learned how to make Roach Hydra work.
Yes.
Which is awesome, and I would credit him. Like the thing that I think separates him from other Zerg players is he's constantly resetting his rally points. He always fights with his whole army. It's very seldom that you see him fight a battle and then go back to his natural and see a clump of units.
Oh, it's so true. I mean, every unit is engaged always. I mean, it's so easy to have 8 lings accidentally here because that drop that happened a while ago, a few roaches that went this way and that way to find or to kill some destructible rocks. But Stephano has every single unit involved in every battle always. And, you know, a lot of people are known for, you know, their marine control or their crazy warp prism play. But Stephano, I have always been impressed with his corruptor usage. Never do I see his corruptors sitting with that corruption stored up. Every single Protoss unit is all gooped up in green and amazingly makes the Roach Hydra Force significantly more effective, far more so than you'd actually think. And I really think that that is one of his hidden strengths in this matchup.
I do agree with you very much. But here's my question. This is Tall Dream Altar, this is cross map, this is the longest distance imaginable for the highly immobile Hydralisk-based army that Stephano tends to favor. Would you put it past him to switch it up here and play some sort of Muta style, or is he the kind of guy that's just going to do what Stephano does?
I think what he would do is just build more roaches. Just say, well, screw these Hydras, let's just hit that R button. oh so effectively.
All right.
Looks like Stephano is indeed not really getting any gas. Looks like he may very well be saving up to do some sort of third hatch. Is it going to be down at the bottom? It is indeed Stephano getting ready to do macro mode, and I cannot emphasize how often I watch Stephano play in this matchup.
NaNiwa
Seem to be behind.
NaNiwa not going to scout it. I thought for a second maybe this probe was going to shoot right down there, but no.
Uh-oh. Sneaks on in. It's going to spot that there's nothing by those destructible rocks. And like you were saying, in many casts earlier, 5 minutes is generally where you see that third hatch go down. So NaNiwa will likely be on the lookout.
Yes, indeed. NaNiwa, an excellent player. He's going to be looking for that opening, looking for the opportunity to exploit Stephano. This probe just poking around, doing as much scouting as he can. Still no gas from Stephano. This is pretty... this is a seriously delayed gas. He's going to be up to like 40 supply before he gasses.
I mean, what's so fun about Stephano, though, is he really goes hatch heavy early on, like 4 hatch before gas sometimes even. Again, exploiting the strength of Zerg, that larva mechanic. But look at this. NaNiwa is going for a fast +1 forge.
Ooh, yeah, he might be thinking about... he's got a second Zealot on the way. Yeah, he is going to put on a little bit of Zealot pressure. I like this decision by NaNiwa. And just to kind of go back to what you were saying about Stephano, he builds hatcheries like nobody else. Did he see that pylon? No, just barely out of... Oh, seriously, like that. Is
wow, how does that...
Like, really.
I'm just as speechless as you are, Mr. Bitter. I mean, that is an extremely easy pylon to hit. And I mean, he just incidentally went around it. And that is going to come back to haunt him. +1 Zealot streaming into his base and into his face. Oh, that's going to hurt so bad.
Yes, indeed. Evo Chamber going down here for Stephano, rather. He's going up to 3 gases immediately. 3 gas is the amount of gas you need to sustain roach production off of 2 bases. But we do see that Stephano has that third.
Uh-oh, and I am seeing a 6 warp gate play by NaNiwa. And that pylon has still not been spotted.
Really scary. If NaNiwa is going to be able to warp in on that pylon, things are going to get really interesting for Stephano, who is just now starting his Roach Warren. He has his timing so worked out, though. Twilight Council going down for NaNiwa as well.
I like it. He's spending a lot of his gas getting ready to do that Twilight Council transition, getting those Blink Stalkers and or even the Archon Zealot, one of my favorite mixtures in the game. But it's this forward pylon. He can begin warping in a lot of Zealots right now, and it's going to be very dangerous.
It is going to be super dangerous. Roach Warren for Stephano is about 90% complete. Oh, big Zealot warping. Does NaNiwa know about this expansion? He is trying to check it out.
Knows
yes,
now
he knows. And that Expo is going to be in a little bit of trouble.
Ooh, looks like no chrono boost going down yet
Stephano
on those warp
building
gates.
Drones, day 9.
Oh, Stephano drones. Oh my gosh, you poor macro Zerg, knowing full well that about 75 drones is where he wants to hit. But now we have the Zealots morphing in, and we have a whole slew of sentries. Oh, Stephano is almost guaranteed to lose this base. Surprise, Stephano.
Oh, man, not only the base, but I think every single one of those drones, I do not feel like there's any mistake for these drones. NaNiwa, can he possibly get a couple of force fields down?
Oh! Uh-oh. It looks like Stephano is on the run, but he is doing everything he can to keep these drones alive for as long as possible. He is going to right-click through. He is going to be sacrificing a good amount of Zerglings, but look at this, Mr. Bitter. The roaches are now reinforcing, and I think Stephano might have a little bit of breath of fresh air, but no, we do see 7 Stalkers now streaming in from the left.
Yeah, nice control here by NaNiwa. These Stalkers are going to add a lot to the army of NaNiwa, but Stephano, his macro is in high gear. He's pumping out 14 Lings, a couple more roaches on the way, roach speed and +1 about to finish up. So, I mean, it looks like Nani's not going to kill the third.
And it looks like he's target firing the pylon, and he doesn't manage to get it before that warp in finishes, but now he knows that NaNiwa cannot reinforce. The third base is still yet alive for Stephano.
Yeah, certainly NaNiwa is going to fall back and pick off that third here momentarily, which basically it relegates the game to 2 bases versus 2 bases. Income tap shows us that it's 49 harvesters for the Zerg player, 46 for NaNiwa. And you know what? This is a really strong 6-gate push, but the game's not over yet. It's still pretty even, and during all of that, NaNiwa did not manage to secure a third base.
Yeah, that's the real issue with a 6-gate play. You are committed to that level of aggression if you're continuing to build out of those gateways. You can't do that much else, and that's exactly what Stephano's kind of banking on, that NaNiwa will be this behind in economy. No third base.
7 more roaches about to pop out. Burrow on the way as well, and this time, Blink is done. This is going to be
unreal.
Oh man, this hurts.
And now it looks like he's picked off the queen. NaNiwa trying to retreat up to the high ground. Stephano does whip back around, but NaNiwa continues to engage, trying to isolate these small groups of roaches. But amazingly, Stephano has withstood that surprise 6-gate attack and is now pushing back the Blink Stalkers.
Yeah, I really think Stephano's not in the worst shape here. He lost a base, he lost quite a few drones, but he's still, he's still hanging around, and he's also cornering these Stalkers of NaNiwa. NaNiwa's running out of places to retreat to.
And look at this, Stephano calmly tracking down all the Stalkers. And oh, NaNiwa is the sort of player who's sharp enough to reanalyze the situation, pull back accordingly. Uh-oh, there's the blink back, and hello. Stephano hitting from both sides. Unreal control.
Wow.
NaNiwa trying to pull back around, but Stephano.
Yeah, actually skyrocketing ahead in terms of the supply on the back of that exchange. 116 supply for Stephano, 90 for NaNiwa. Third base going back up for our Zerg player. Nani looks like he wants to take a third as well. Nani's macro, maybe not quite perfect. He's got the money for this expansion, but he's not throwing it down.
Wow, Stephano is just so aggressive coming in at these angles. He's got to be careful about the sentries. If he gets trapped, he's going to be in a real rough condition. And oh my god, he gets a great surround on a lot of those Stalkers. And it looks like, weirdly enough, NaNiwa does not quite have the good amount of forces.
Wow.
How does Stephano get this many units?
I'm not sure, because he's only working off of 2 hatcheries, but he hasn't missed a single injection, and he is just hammering out the roaches. And NaNiwa, he is going to repel this, but not before taking quite a bit of damage.
I mean, Stephano is so good at this game. The third is now finished, and he's advancing forward. Oh, a single immortal pops out. That is going to be all she wrote for this attack, and NaNiwa has deflected Stephano's counterplay.
Third base has completed for Stephano. Third base has begun for NaNiwa. What is the Protoss follow-up going to be? Looks like he's got that robotics bait done, but first he wants to get a couple more immortals out. Continuing to upgrade is NaNiwa. He's already working on +3 attack. That is such a fast +3.
Yeah, I mean, that's really going to help a ton. I mean, look at the immortal. Its attack damage is already 60 versus armored. That means he almost kills roaches in 2 shots.
Yeah.
Immediately means that any composition he has is much better against roaches, as they will be very squishy-fied by these immortal counts.
Look at this, and you're exactly right when you said in the early game that you think Stephano's just going to make it pure roach. He has not made anything other than roaches, getting those upgrades. Still no infestation pit. Macro hatchery going down in the main base and gearing up to take a 4th base. NaNiwa right now just poking around the center of the map, making sure he's got some map control and he's not at any real risk of another big roach push.
Yeah.
As this third base finishes up.
And the real key to Stephano's style is aggression. If he continues to attack, it hardly matters that he has only roaches. He's going to incorporate some infestors to help bolster this roach force. But as of right now, oh, great spotting there by Stephano, noting that that pylon could pop up on the high ground. So he builds the overlords there just to check things out.
Yep, sending like a Zergling and 3 roaches up there to make sure that pylon gets dealt with. So Stephano is so map aware. I don't think I've ever seen a player who is as map aware as Stephano.
Yeah, and it looks like, oop, one unit tried to warp in, but that's enough of that. The speed of the roaches and their versatility, they do have the burrow. Does he actually have tunneling claws at this point in time?
No,
I don't believe
yet.
so.
Not yet. But I would not be surprised to see him add it here as we get a little bit further into the game. Spire going down now for Stephano, +1 melee beginning as we see him starting to think forward to that broodlord transition.
I definitely love when players do that. They begin upgrading all those Ling-focused upgrades, the melee, the carapace, because don't forget that Zerglings, when you get to those high numbers, especially getting that adrenal gland upgrade, means that you can have these brutal, fast reinforcements. And I think that the late game adrenaline is probably the most underestimated upgrade in SC2.
Yeah, faster attacks with upgraded Zerglings is always something that we can laud. Look at this. Not our Stephano has what? That is so many roaches. Day 9.
That is a substantial amount of roaches. In fact, that's 54 roaches. That is unbelievably difficult to deal with, no matter what you have. And it's so weird to see NaNiwa, who, in my eyes, I would label him as having been in control all game long. He went for the 6th warp gate, picked off the southern expansion, and then what happens? Well, Stephano just has so much stuff. I mean, NaNiwa's army even looks tiny.
Yes, yes. Tiny but terrifying with the 3 immortals, a lot of force fields saved up, and these colossi. So Stephano's going to have to be very careful. When he's maxed out on a pure roach army, and this can be a little bit deceptive. A maxed out Zerg it's scary, but when it's just roaches, it's not as scary as when it's Infestor Broodlord or even Roach Hydra Corruptor.
Do see Stephano is getting the pathogen up. He's just getting pathogen glands, all
Happens
right?
to the best of us, man.
Happens to me too. We also see the Stalker warping by NaNiwa.
Wow, that is a big army. That is a huge army.
I have selected the 3 Immortals here because though they're difficult to see and difficult to even get to with the Roaches, they really will be the tide turners of this battle. A lot of spine crawlers planting for Stephano.
Yes, so characteristic of his play.
He has a ton of space to cover, but NaNiwa also has a large distance to reinforce, and oh no, all these Stalkers are caught off guard. Stephano is engaging from an amazing angle.
Oh, NaNiwa, get your Stalkers back together, and it looks like he has bought himself the time to re-engage. Look at the surround that Stephano is setting up. He's going to attack from 3 different angles. Roaches coming from the sides, Roaches coming from behind. Nice force fields here by NaNiwa as he does micro those Colossi forward, and this is excellent control by our Protoss player.
Oh, wow, NaNiwa ripping that army to shreds. We now see the 32 Roaches in production, not that many Corruptors on the field, a trademark unit from Stephano's offense and defense, looking very, very grim. We're going to start seeing all those corruptions plop down. He is corrupting the Colossi in the back, the Roaches trying to pop out. Those 32 Roaches have hatched, but who can withstand the might of that army? Oh my God, NaNiwa.
GG.
Stephano's miraculous resilience throughout that game, not nearly